Cars, 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 more cars, another car. And at this point, it really was a lot of rinse and repeat. We had the post in, the concrete was set, and it was a matter of setting those pickets. The most important thing that I had to do at this point was really just install those supports and then set those pickets level. The bottom one was critically important, and as I went up the fence, I'd check every 2 or 3 pickets to make sure that I was still level. Keep in mind that these pickets are very rough sawn. It's not furniture grade stuff. It's really rough, and some of these boards were a little wobbly, and so you really had to kind of work with them to make sure that you stayed level all the way up. And staying level is very important at this point, because if you want horizontal fencing, one panel leads to the next panel, leads to the next panel, and what you want is the boards of one panel to line up with the boards of the previous panel so that it looks like one continuous run of boards, and that's what makes it look professional. You want to avoid situations where your boards end up, joining up and they're kind of off and it just looks like a bunch of stacked pallets. You really don't want that look. You want to make sure that one panel meets the other panel and it's just one continuous run. Keep in mind, it's going to be off slightly, but we don't care about that so much because we will be running another picket to cover those butt ends up, and they don't have to be perfect. Some cuts might be a little off and they might not meet perfectly. Keep in mind, there's going to be hot and cold weather, wet and dry. The boards are going to shift and move and shrink and swell. And so that's why we're going to end up putting another picket over the ends to kind of cover up and mask a lot of that variation that does happen over time. Speaking of supports, I just wanted to make one quick note about that. I went ahead and got these little fence hanger supports that you can buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever to sort of slide your 2x4s into. And it is a real time saver because they give you a little bit of wiggle room. You don't have to make your 2x4s perfect and perfectly snug. If it kind of wiggles a little bit or you cut it a 16th short, that's not a problem. It's going to hang on those hangers, and you can screw or nail into those hangers and they're not going anywhere. So that was absolutely worth the money. You get a really deep discount if you buy like a box of 100 of them. And you're probably going to need about 100 of them if you end up doing, 150 or 200 feet of fencing. The reason for that is because each panel between the posts is going to need about 4, because you're putting them on the top and the bottom to basically hold those support rails in there. So you figure, you do the math, it adds up really quick. Oh, didn't see you there. Just kidding. So today we're going to finish up the last of this fence project. I got to put some hardware on this door because right now the wind is just taking it. So I'm going to go ahead and do some measurements here and put this hardware on. Shouldn't be too hard. So I guess let's see how it goes. Fingers crossed, you only get one shot at this. So, first thing we're going to do is pick an arbitrary place. There's no code or standard that I know of for how high we want this to be. Now, I've actually marked it at about 48 inches, which seems a little bit high for a latch on a 6-foot door. Some people actually put the latches up here so that they can reach it from the other side. I don't really need to do that. This door is only here just so I don't have to walk all the way around to get to the other side. Okay, let's see, we got about 48 inches. The other reason why I put it at 48 inches is because I plan to actually raise this area up. Hopefully I can get some wood chips and kind of level this area out, because there's a pretty big slope here, and there's definitely some gaps because I chose to go with a horizontal fence. And those gaps I'm gonna sort of level out as much as I can with some wood chips and let that stuff break down. Maybe put some nice plantings along the fence. So who knows? If you have any suggestions on what to do to kind of pretty up this area and sort of fill in the gaps, drop some comments below. I'd love to read what other people have been doing to try to clean that stuff up. All right, I digress. Let's get back to it. I'm kind of torn right now. This isn't a security fence. I don't necessarily need it to be so strong that someone can't just rip it out. And the way I built this fence, here, let me show you what I mean. So the way I built this fence, I built it so that it sort of blends in with the rest of the fence. I just couldn't get it out. But what I was trying to say was, the fence was built to look flush. So from the outside, you couldn't see where the actual gate was. And I didn't want or care to have a handle on the outside of the fence. I wanted to have this clean, solid slab look across the entire face of the fence. The fence wasn't so tall that I couldn't just reach the top of it and pull it open that way. I just wouldn't be able to lock and unlock it from the outside, which was perfectly fine because you could just walk around the fence. It was really just a gate for the sake of convenience. So I could enter from about the center of that long span without having to go all the way around when I wanted to do any maintenance or upkeep of the other side of the fence. On top of that, I didn't want to run through bolts all the way through because then you would see these black washers on the other side of what is supposed to be just this solid wood slab of fence, which was the look that I was going for. So I opted for a slightly different approach using the very same hardware that was available inside of that package. Should be good. We'll give that a shot. It's gonna be snug. I don't need this door to be super strong. It would help. I don't need this door to be super strong. I just need it to stay closed in the wind. I don't expect somebody to come in here and try to break in through. It's not a security fence, it's just a privacy fence. So with that being said, I'm not using the through bolts that come with this. That's kind of overkill. I'm just using the, some of the screws that came with it. Perfect. Come on. Okay, so I guess that's about it. I do hope you like it and subscribe, and there's definitely more on the way.